Pull out the smoker and gather up the ribs and brisket. It's time to throw down a Texas-sized party in the infield while drivers sort it out on track, getting ready for round 9 at Texas Motor Speedway in the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League, featuring the new Dallara IR-18 IndyCar. Coming at you live from the Lone Star State. Welcome back for another GSRC presentation. I'm your host today, Sean Ambrose, and in the chair next to me is the one, the only, Samuel Ryman. In the director's chair, the doctor of bits topology himself, Mr. Amjad Yaman, armed with cameras, located, aimed, zoomed, and focused by GSRC's camera guru, the great Dougie Beard. Folks, over the next few minutes, we'll get you up to speed with the Absolute Beginners Indy League and what they have in store for us today. But first, yes, back to the comfy confines of a high-speed, high-banked oval that is Texas Motor Speedway. It was way back in mid-May when these drivers last gathered at Road America. The man in the tux driving the 007, Henry Bennett, reigned victorious in his Dallara IR-18. Of course, it never hurts to pad your lead in the points championship and help keep your team on top at the same time. It was a big day for them and for Henry, and looking for more success today as currently one of the fastest drivers in practice. Now, let me introduce Samuel Ryman, a good friend of mine. We've done lots of broadcasts together, but we've never, I don't think we've done one at Texas in Indy cars together. So let him tell you a little bit something about a little place we call TMS.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Well, this Texas Motor Speedway, it's been around for a couple of decades now, all the way dating back to 1997 down there in Fort Worth, Texas. As you mentioned, the 1.5-mile speedway with 20 degrees banking in turns 1 and 2, 24 degrees banking in turns 3 and 4. That makes it very similar to Atlanta Motor Speedway and Charlotte Motor Speedway, and shouldn't come as any surprise. Speedway Motorsports Incorporated own all of those tracks. Sometimes these are referred to as cookie-cutter tracks, although this one has a bit of a reputation for a narrower weight racing line. The walls sneak up on you quite fast and also a little bit bumpy at times. The Speedway has been managed since its inception by the controversial racing promoter Eddie Gossage, and the best way to get an idea of what this place is like is to jump on board for a lap around Texas.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Texas Motor Speedway and the GSRC IR-18 IndyCar. So without further ado, here we go for the hot lap. Going to be swinging it out here a little wider than you probably did in the DW12, bringing it right down here to that white line, planting that left front right there, hooking the corner on exit. Don't let it drift all the way up to the wall just yet. Down the backstretch, track very, very bumpy. Kind of drive it straight in there and you'll see kind of hook this line once again. Let it rotate, kind of come off the bottom a little bit, but then don't get all the way out to the wall. As the run progresses, you're going to see guys all over this track. So here we go off into turn 1, all the way up here, especially with the aero sensitivity of these Indy cars. If you can find some clean air, you can find some time. Down the backstretch, take that high lane off, can really set you up for a good move here into 3. Heck, you might even see them all the way up here by the fence. They're going to be all over this Texas Motor Speedway in these Indy cars. Off of turn 4, through the quad oval, across the line. And that is going to complete our track guide here around the Texas Motor Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
And that is GSRC's own Mr. Brian Yazek, the newlywed in the cockpit and on the mic there. Married yesterday to his lovely bride, Serena. We wish them the very, very best as I'm sure they're celebrating a honeymoon right about now. Get married on a Friday and have a honeymoon weekend. Makes sense to me. Lots to talk about here. Let's talk about the championship standings and get right to that. Henry Bennett continues, like I said in the opening of this show, continues to pad his lead with another victory last week for Maximum Attack. Not last week, but a few weeks ago, back in May. Jan Schwitter sitting there in second. No movement here at the top right now, just that the lead continues to expand here for Bennett. Liam Quinn back in third. Andrew Kinsella sliding all the way now down to fourth. Still got a good chance there, though. We still have several rounds left here for some movement here in the top 5. Richard Tam, though, coming out of Road America, he picks up 2 spots, finds himself now in the top 5, 107 points out of the league. Now let's look at the team standings here real quick. As I mentioned, Maximum Attack continues to stay on top. Timo Ronco and Henry Bennett have had quite a season, but watch out for Petronas, that racing team there. They're running well now. They used to hold that top spot and don't now, so they could be back. Jan Schwitter, Ali Quokka, certainly those drivers capable of getting them back to the top. C Bottom Racing stays in 3rd. Team Talent stays down in 4th. And Adrenaline Motorsports, Andrew Kinsella, who I believe won an Indy 500 last weekend on iRacing, is down there in 5th. Now, Sam, a light field today, but why don't you go ahead and go through the details here of the race?
Yeah, let's take a look at what these drivers are going to be dealing with today. 133 laps of racing for this, the 9th of a 12-race series. Those points we've seen have been accounting for 3 drop weeks over the 12-week season. Just tick under 200 miles. There will be yellow flags throughout the race. Well, hopefully there won't be, but there's the option that there could be. These cars have open setups, no fuel restrictions, so you get to tweak the car however you like. However, you can't accumulate any more than 20 incident points throughout the race, although granted, speeds are so high here at Texas, if you accumulate 4 incident points, we might not be seeing you anymore for the remainder of those 133 laps.
And, you know, Sam, I gabbed so long, we're just now under 3 minutes left to go in practice. Let me correct myself. Kinsella did not actually win. He finished in a photo finish to Josh Chin in the top split there in the Indy 500. But still, congratulations on what was a great race and a photo finish. So he coming here to Texas on the heels of that. In the real world, Sam, that's generally how it works. You run Indy and then you go to Texas is your next stop. So this track, certainly with the history of being bad, wicked fast, dangerously fast at times. Today we're seeing some pretty incredible speeds with Henry Bennett sitting there on top here in quali with a 23.9, the only one to break a 23 here, Sam.
Yeah, riding on board Kinsella himself and Ollie Croker currently out there on track trying to qualify. Kinsella goes 4th place. You see he's riding in 5th gear around here. These drivers do have 6 gears. However, 6th gear usually only used for getting trying to make an overtake when you get the slipstream of a car ahead. Honestly, a lot of these drivers prefer the qualifying 5th gear. Gives them a little bit of a better pull out of these turns. Keeps the revs high.
Oh, and look what Kinsella does there at the end. I'm bragging about Henry Bennett, and Kinsella goes with a 23.927. Sam, I think that's what, about 0.02 of a second they're separated by there.
Yeah, very close at the top. Let's see if Croker can get his name up there. No, Croker far off. It could easily be something as struggling with the setup of his car. That's a problem with open setups. Sometimes you'll see drivers who are a bit off the pace is almost a second shy of Kinsella's pole time.
Yeah, and a couple of drivers mysteriously have not taken the time here. I'm not Michelle Rugenbrink still sits, and so does Jose Crescente. Neither one coming out for qualifying time. And Sam, I believe they have lost their chance because there's only 30 seconds left here in practice. And with neither one of them on the track, I think it's okay to go ahead and go to our starting grid here today in the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League. Andrew Kinsella there on the pole with a 23.9. Great run for him. He just nips out Henry Bennett there in 2nd. That's your front row. Row 2 going to be Joshua Herman and Dave Walsh starting on the outside in 4th. Timo Ronco will start 5th today, and Dennis Garrison 6th. Sam, take the rest.
Yeah, rounding out the field, we've got Fabian Dringbluth starting in 7th place ahead of Michael Herman in 8th. Ollie Quoker struggling for speed in qualifying. Who knows? It could be by design. We'll wait and see what he can do in the race. He'll be starting 9th ahead of Jose Crescente and Michael Rugenbrink rounding out our 18-car field, although Michael is actually not in the server.
He is not, so it does look like we will start with 10. Sam, we haven't looked at the weather yet. Let's take a look at what it's like outside here. It is a beautiful, clear day at Texas Motor Speedway, although it says it's partly cloudy. That's okay. It's 78 degrees outside, not bad. 104 degrees on track, which expect that temperature to rise. Now, it is a rather small field with only 10 cars. It may not be so bad, but I've got to imagine at some point, as I'm expecting green flag runs because of the size of the field, that the tires are going to get a little tricky in the wash, and you're going to see this IR-18 push a bit in these high banks, Sam.
Yeah, this isn't the kindest circuit to tires as far as ovals go, especially with the high speeds these drivers are going to be running around here, and you just saw the weather conditions are very hot. So maybe that's something some of the drivers who didn't qualify as well took into consideration. They might have dialed into their cars a setup that might not be as fast on the get-go here, but maybe it'll be kinder to their tires in the long run. Although I've got to imagine with dirty air being what it is when these drivers are going over 200 miles an hour, starting up front where Andrew Kinsella and Henry Burnett are, is going to be a boon.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not going to split any hairs here. I think this race comes down to Bennett and Kinsella today. These two, first of all, Bennett has been extremely hot this season. Kinsella's experience on the ovals, I think, lends to his advantage. But who knows? We've got some sleepers back there. Ollie Kolka starting at the back of the field. Dennis Garrison stuck back there in sixth. You know, maybe, just maybe, those drivers make it to the end here. 133 laps. Folks, grab your seatbelt, tighten it up. This won't take long. If we don't incur any cautions, they can knock out 3 laps in just over a minute. So do the math yourself at home, because we don't do it here on GSRC. But let's get ready for a great race here at TMS today.
Yeah, just 9 cars taken to the grid. It looks like Jose Crescente, one of the drivers who didn't turn the lap in qualifying, he's still in the survey, he might be electing to start from pit road. And that'll just give him the option of staying a bit safer there on the opening lap. Although I have a feeling with 9 cars out there on the track about to take a green flag, each driver should be able to get themselves sorted quite quickly. I don't necessarily say that means we're not going to see exciting racing. I think we are going to see some great racing out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if in the opening laps a couple of these drivers are just trying to hit their marks, be smooth, and try and get a rhythm started in this race.
Well, I'd say with the number of cars that are on track, Sam, I think that's a wise move. No reason to be too risky here. Play it safe, and let's have a great race. Everybody have some fun. But here we go. Pace car pulls off. Andrew Kinsella gets ready, and he's on the loud pedal. Kinsella gets off of turn 4 and across the front straight there. And he's already starting to pull away on Bennett. Walsh gets started clean. So does Herman. Youngbluth, Kolka back there trying to sort it out a bit. But Kinsella gets the jump, and now here comes Henry Bennett down the back stretch. And Sam will probably see a lot of this today.
Yeah, Kinsella did get a nice jump, so he's got that clean now. And Bennett actually sliding up through turns 3 and 4. I wonder if that was at the end. It looked like Bennett had a really good run on Kinsella down the back straight, just due to the fact that he didn't have as good as a start. However, it's Dave Walsh trying to make a low line work in turns 1 and 2. While these cars are new, granted that they had a rather calm opening lap to the race, but now these drivers, yes, the pack is spread out a bit, but they've got to take advantage while the tires are fresh of trying to make these moves work. Dave Walsh was able to do that, and I have a feeling Kinsella, if he wants to respond, he's got to try and do it in the next couple of laps before these tires do start to wear.
Yeah, and going to your point there, great job by Walsh of identifying that and getting there to the front as quick as possible. Listen, folks, it's no secret that clean air is king. And Walsh can basically do whatever he wants with this car right now. It is going to be up to Kinsella to manage that dirty air and try and find a way around him. And that could take a while. Kinsella, probably just knowing a little bit about him in our races, will probably try and just find a different line altogether to beat him with. Now back behind them, oh, okay, not quite. I don't want to go away from Kinsella yet, but I wanted to talk about real quick what happened with Kolka. It was Kolka and Youngbluth on the start. Had quite a bit of a battle going on, and I think both of them got a little lucky to avoid an incident there early. They've kind of spread apart now, though, and all the action seems to be here in the top 5, Sam.
Yeah, the top 5 have broken away from the back 4, who are kind of a little bit spread out right now. Only 9 cars on track and on the lead lap. Still haven't seen the number 50 of Jose Crescento. Meanwhile, here goes Kinsella for the lead. But now he's going to struggle. Early on, you could make this move stick on the low side, but now Kinsella's car is going to be pushing a little bit more. He doesn't have as much racetrack to work with because Walsh is up there on the high side. However, he was able to keep up alongside him, and now he's able to make the move stick in turns 3 and 4. We'll wait and see if Walsh responds. Right now, Kinsella led lap number 6.
Yeah, Walsh had kind of just left the door open for Kinsella to get down there, and now Kinsella has it clean. Walsh going to settle in behind, maybe look to make another attack here in a moment.
But that got a piece of a wall there coming off of turn 2, Sean.
Yeah, and you know what? There's some kind of trouble for Ronco because Timo Ronco is in the pits.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Burnett was trying to get to the pits there or if he was actually trying to get out of the way of Joshua Herman and Dennis Garrison. He got the wall pretty good coming out of turn 2, and I think it was just a little bit uncertain of how his car would handle through 3 and 4. It's still going around okay, but I'm not sure if it's going to be able to contend for a race win.
Yeah, you're right, Sam. I think that could certainly be a problem. And boy, Kinsella and Walsh already starting to pull away from the rest of the field here. It's still Kinsella with the edge up front. Ooh, boy, the rear end of Kinsella's car really looked wicked coming off the turn there.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Timo Ronco came into the pits. He has retired from the race. So 8 drivers on track. They're all on the lead lap, and the top 2 of them, so called off the field, battling hard for this lead.
Yeah, it's trying to find what happened to Timo Ronco, and Timo Ronco just got into the wall coming out of turn 2. Scuffed it up, and I guess wasn't satisfied with how the car was handling or responding, and he brought it in and got out of the car.
Yeah, you see how Kinsella and Walsh already moving to the top of the track as these tyres are starting to get a little bit worn. It's just making it a bit easier to get around the circuit from them, although Walsh, of course, will still be trying to stick his nose out just to get out of the dirty air coming off the back of Kinsella's number 14 machine. And now you do have to wonder what kind of strategy games are these two going to play. If they do pit under green, granted it's way too early for that right now, I think, as we're only working lap number 12. If they do pit under green, sure, they'll lose a lap, but I can't imagine that would be too hard to get back, considering the fact that if yellow did come out and trap them a lap down, everyone still on the lead lap would be wanting to pit for tyres.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that, Sam. Early going in this race here. Ooh, Kinsella with a close moment there. Got really up close to that wall. Man, and it's that, Sam, just like that, we've already knocked out 13 laps. I think you and I got started, what, a minute ago? I know the math doesn't work out right for that, but they are flying around here. And we've seen some attrition already, unfortunately. Now we have 8 cars running, and all starting to spread out just a bit. Really, one of the closer battles on track right now is that battle for third. Herman and Garrison, and that was one of the drivers I told you to watch out for is Dennis Garrison, but that is, again, like I said, a good battle. Garrison's picked up 2 spots already, and now is starting to close on Josh Herman.
Yeah, and let's not forget that behind him in 5th place, Henry Burnett, he was in the wall earlier on, so he's being able to do a good job of finding that car's rhythm and what it's still able to do despite a bit of minor damage on that 007 machine. And we'll see if the James Bond car can shoot its way back up front.
I'm sure Q had a fix for that, Sam, so he'll probably be in good shape. I don't really see any physical damage on the car. Maybe he actually maybe knocked the wheel out of tow a little bit, possibly. Maybe that's what's got him off on speed right now, because he is about, I mean, he's running 25s. Everybody in front of him running 24s right now.
So you see this battle for third closing up. As you mentioned, Garrison slowly eating into Herman's lead for third place there. And he won't want to be wearing that. Well, there's an advantage and a disadvantage to following a car. The disadvantage is you'll be wearing your tyres out a bit more because it's going to be harder to get the car through the turn without as much air on the nose holding the front end down. The good news is you can try and save a bit of fuel using the draft of the car ahead of you.
And Sam, you've got just a bit of experience in this new Dallara IR-18. How do you favor this car over the DW12?
Yeah, well, that's a problem, Sean. I never got a whole lot of experience behind the wheel of a DW12. but we've...
Oh, Gareth.
It's strange because you hear, different accounts. Some people say, oh, it races so much better. It's easier to hang on to the car in front of you. And then there's people such as Brian Yazik, we were talking about him earlier, who say, no, it handles exactly the same pretty much as a DW12. So everyone's got their own opinions. Obviously, the advantage of this being an open setup series is they're able to play with tools and fight that aero wash in front of them.
Right, exactly. And boy, that's there are a lot of adjustments that you can make that will help you. And right now, Dennis Garrison, boy, that he was closing quick, and then he got a little wicked off of, I believe it was turn 2, coming out of 2, which is a common place here at Texas Motor Speedway. Lots of trouble over the years out of turn 2. We've seen some historic crashes there, both in real life and in the iRacing server. Now Garrison's starting to gather it back up, find his way back to Herman. Garrison seems to be struggling with some greasy tires, though. I got to be honest with you, Sam.
Yeah, it looked like Herman was sliding a little bit too on the XF4. Yeah, I think Herman's actually getting a little bit loose on the exit of turns. And I mean, obviously, when your car's not set up perfectly, it's either going to be one or two things, loose or tight. And it's driver preference, really, as to what you want to be fighting at the end of a run. Unfortunately for Herman, he's fighting with a bit of a loose car on corner exit right now, I think. And what he could do is try and move his lane up a little bit so that he's not got the wheel turned as much on the exit of a turn. But he knows that if he leaves that bottom open, Garrison might take advantage of it.
Well, this could be Garrison's moment here. Take advantage of Herman while he's struggling just a bit. He's starting to close down on him. Perfect opportunity to drop into that 6th gear and try and close.
Yeah, see what gear he's using there. He's using 5th gear. He's definitely got the slipstream because the top speeds of these cars on the straights have dropped off now because they're not going as fast with the wear on their tyres. They'll probably stay in 5th gear just to get that pull out of turns. These drivers are running somewhere between half a second or a second slower than what they were at the start of a race. And Garrison will be trying to find a way by. He might have a nice path there.
Boy, he sure thought about it.
Yeah, here's a problem. I'm sure in a way he's trying to pressure Herman into a mistake too. But if Herman does make a mistake and spin, Garrison's not in a very good position to avoid it.
Well, I certainly like the work Garrison's doing. He's got to be careful here and just not catch that dirty air. As we've already seen early, it could certainly throw you up into that wall quick, and you don't get any chances for repair with this car here today. Kinsella has opened up this lead, Sam. We lost track of that just a little bit, but he has really started to separate himself from Dave Walsh. Kinsella now with over 3 seconds. There you go on screen, 3.1. This isn't incredible. This isn't bad for Walsh, though. This gives him an opportunity to maybe save those tires a little bit, really be able to take this car to the end of a fuel run. Because honestly, Sam, at this point, lack of cautions, I think you got to be willing to get. You probably should drive this as long as you can.
Yeah, Joshua Herman has been equalising a couple of laps even better in Dave Walsh's time for second there. I think Herman could be using up a little bit more track and more years. Ollie Croker coming into the pits. He's got substantial damage on that 11 machine.
Oh, he did, Sam, and I actually caught that. Ollie had big trouble coming out of turn 2. Here we go. Everything fine in turn 1, and then all of a sudden, just a little bit too far out of the groove there, Sam. washes right up into that wall, and boy, he takes a hard hit that I'm afraid will probably wind up ending his race unless he can get some of that damage repaired. Wow.
And Garrison must have had a bit of a moment while we were watching that, because his lap time last lap around was about a second off the pace of Herman, and that breaks the battle for third up again.
Yeah, it really does, man. Garrison's so close to taking that spot too, and now he's got to be careful because, well, he's got Henry Bennett right back there, not too far behind him, just over a second. Okay, we'll back up front with Kinsella. We're on board there with Bennett, 007 machine, but Kinsella, again, I beat this like a dead horse, Sam. Clean air, clean air, clean air, and the farther out into it that Andrew Kinsella gets into it, the faster he gets. Still turning 25 flats as the tires on the car start to go away even a little bit further. Now 31 laps deep into this race, I'm thinking we're probably going to see a pit window open up here pretty soon in the next few laps.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Kinsella running consistent 25.0s as he works lap number 32. So already approaching the point at which there'll only be 100 laps left of this race. Thing is, Sean, the field is so spread out right now that everyone is clean air. I think what Kinsella's really been doing a good job of is adjusting his line as the runners gone on. You see how high he is running on the racetrack, or over in turns 3 and 4 he will side, back down here in turn 1 and 2 he's low, and that is probably doing a bit of a better job of saving his tires than what the drivers are behind him.
Andrew Kinsella has this car figured out, Sam, and that being said, I'm sure he's using every in-car adjustment to his advantage right now, playing with that weight jacker as the fuel continues to burn off, as the tires get hotter, slicker. There are several adjustments he can continue to make to help him, but the weight jacker being one of the more important ones that helps that car stay in the line and continue to be fast lap after lap.
One driver will be hoping for a caution in the next 3 or 4 laps is Michael Herman, currently running in 7th place in the number 7 car. Also last of the cars that are still in the race as Dave Walsh comes into the pits. Herman's going to go a lap down if nothing happens soon, but it looks like our round of green flag pit stops is starting.
It certainly does, Sam. And my spidey senses were tingling, and Walsh going to be the first one to come in for a scheduled stop as the field comes around. Kinsella. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead, buddy.
Of course, an easy way for any of these drivers to give away some of the positions that they've worked hard for is to overshoot their pit stall, but Dave Walsh did a nice job of hitting his marks there. We'll probably have to wait to the back straight here to merge onto the track because he has traffic going by, and then he's just going to blow by those cars on track on those fresher tyres, and Michael Herman is responding.
Yes, Herman is in. Josh Herman stays on track. He still has Dennis Garrison behind him.
Yeah, it's Michael Herman, 2 Hermans in this race, as you mentioned. Michael Herman, the number 7, who was risking going the lap down, so I wonder if he's trying to prevent that here by taking an early pit stop. And when Kinsella comes in for his stop, hopefully for Michael Herman, he'll be back out on the lead lap.
Okay, Dennis Garrison looking for another shot here to get around Josh Herman. Can he pull this off? Dennis has to get out of it. Almost runs over Josh Herman there.
Yeah, and this is allowing, well, that's Dave Walsh behind him on those fresher tyres, just going to blow by them.
Garrison's
and this
off.
I think this was the right move by Garrison. He couldn't get by him, so might as well take that pit stop.
Walsh, let's see, that'll move him up to 5th after completing his pit stop. Garrison, Fabian Youngbluth are now in, rolling towards their boxes. Kinsella and Josh Herman remain on track. The last 2 cars requiring service here.
Yeah, Joshua Herman making his way into the pits for now. I'm pretty sure Kinsella is going to lose his lead on this cycle of stops to Dave Walsh. I just don't think Kinsella's too concerned because he knows that even by this point, when he gets back out there on the racetrack, he's going to have fresher tyres with Walsh, and in the long run, he should be able to take that lead back and make it work out for him better in the long run.
Well, Sam, Kinsella keeps riding around. Longer he stays out, it chips into that lead he's got, and I'm starting to agree with you that the lead he may have to give that up in the pits if he stays out here much longer.
Yeah, he's the only car currently on the lead lap, but obviously as soon as he pits, that will push a lot of drivers back onto the lead lap and probably Walsh out into the lead. Walsh ahead of Dennis Gerritsen, Joshua Herman, Henry Bennett, Fabian Jungbluth, and Michael Herman is the way they run right
now. Kinsella continuing to defy the odds here in first. Now Walsh is in second. Now the gap on those two, 33, just over 33 seconds. Most of the pit bogey times were just under 30 seconds. So again, Kinsella continues to chip away at his lead. It's going to be very close when he finally decides to come in, gets back on track. Dave Walsh, I expect Walsh and Garrison will be right there all over him.
Yeah, the other thing we've got to keep an eye on here is Kinsella could be thinking about a two-stop race and splitting it directly into thirds. If he makes it to lap number 45, we'll know for sure he can make it to lap 90, and that will be able to get him to the end of the race. Sure enough, here he goes around to complete lap 44. I won't be surprised if we see him in next time by for the first of two stops.
Yeah, Kinsella's certainly not above playing strategy, Sam. That's looking like a good one right now. I think you're all over that. Kinsella comes around here in turn 3. The car's starting to slow down. There he goes, Sam. He's coming in.
So Kinsella will lose the lead here. He was able to make a pit entry under the speed limit, which would be kind of embarrassing if that wasn't the case, because he really has nothing to lose at this point. Things are looking really in his favour. Obviously, it would be a nil-timed caution that would really not work out in his favour.
Well, Walsh going past the pit entrance now across the start-finish line. Kinsella rolling out now. Walsh is going to go to the lead.
Yeah, and just how spread out they are. Dennis Gerritsen hasn't even made it to the pit exit yet, so it looks like Kinsella will still only fall back to second place.
Yep, at a tune of about 4.2 seconds. It's a great pit stop. He did absolutely nothing wrong in the stop there for Kinsella.
Yeah, I've got to wonder, Sean. I think everyone is probably playing the two-stop strategy. They can probably get further than 45 laps on fuel. It's just once Walsh kicked off the first round of pit stops, everyone else kind of responded to that to try and use the undercut work and not become a victim of it themselves. Obviously, Kinsella has been a victim of the undercut, but now he's about to start running about half a second faster than everyone else on the track.
You got it, my friend. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Of course, IndyCar will be at Texas Motor Speedway next weekend, right, Sam? Yes.
The answers. I have a document right next to my computer that lists all of the races for NASCAR, Formula One, MotoGP, Supercross, sports cars, IndyCar, Formula E, and drag racing too. So I always have to flick through it. I also like adding special events on there, like the Isle of Man TT is on this week. Keeping an eye on that.
Wonder the odds of iRacing ever trying to scan that. The Isle of Man.
Of course, some people would say it's already been scanned. We're living in a simulation. So someone must have scanned it at some point.
Kinsella starting to make that ground up, Sam. He was, about 6/10 faster than Dave Walsh last time around. Closing, closing, closing. It's now down to 2 seconds.
I don't know how close we took a look at the team standings before the start of the race, but a couple of teammates about to run on track, and also relatives, I'm assuming, Joshua Herman and Michael Herman. Unfortunately for Michael, he is about to go a lap down to Joshua in the double O machine. You're able to tell the difference, by the way, if we get them on screen at the same time. Joshua Herman has a red helmet, and I think Michael's got a bit more of an aquamarine helmet matching the color of his car.
Yeah, they're close, Sam. They're very close. Just a couple colors difference, but great looking liveries on those cars.
Michael not making it difficult at all for Joshua to get by. I wonder if that'll be a different story when Henry Burnett comes around, because Henry only running the second back of Joshua Herman for fourth.
Boy, and look at this on screen, though. Kinsella has really picked up Walsh now. He kept screaming down the backstretch into 3. Closing, closing, closing. Walsh running up the track there, trying to take it easy on the tires. He knows who's coming. I don't think he could do anything about it. Kinsella goes into 1, and he is going to really, really put it on him here coming out of 2. Oof.
Well, Walsh strategically has got to make it, even though he's fighting a losing battle here, the more time he can cost Kinsella, the better it's going to be in the terms of the full race for him. And they're both catching Fabian Jungbluth running up in 6th place, but on the risk of going a lap down very shortly. And Kinsella has the lead, and I don't think Walsh is going to be able to answer to that. In fact, he almost washes up into the wall soon too.
Boy, he's still staying up there high on the track line. Well, Walsh probably feeling a little dejected right now after getting passed by Kinsella so quickly after the pit stops. And honestly, Walsh is staring down another pit stop here, Sam, and possibly about, I don't know, 10 to 15 laps.
Well, if he was going to split it into a 3-stop strategy, it would be. I have a feeling he just played a strategy way short pit for his first stop, and he knows he's going to have to run long before he makes his second one. But we'll see.
Well, Jungbluth's about to be another victim here to Andrew Kinsella. Kinsella running up on him here now as you look out off the rear wing with Fabian. Kinsella going to get down on the inside there across the stripe. Take it into 1 clean. Keep it all the way down there in the bottom. And now he's going to drift up the track just a bit. So important to keep it off that wall, though, coming out of 2. And another good job there by Andrew Kinsella. He hangs on to his lead. Now 2 seconds ahead of Dave Walsh. 5 laps ago, Dave Walsh was in the lead, Sam.
Yeah, he's still doing a good job holding just a couple of seconds back there, though, on those older tyres. I do have to wonder if Walsh would play some kind of 3-stop strategy, not because he's forced to, but maybe he might think it's faster in the long run. I just have a feeling, though, you're going so fast out there on the racetrack and so slow on the pit road, I can't imagine an extra pit stop is worth it.
I don't think so. I'm with you. I don't think it would be worth it, Sam.
But one thing Walsh should be able to calculate is he knows Kinsella is trying to split this race up directly into thirds by pitting at lap 45, and Kinsella will probably be in the pits again at lap 90. So maybe Walsh will think about trying to make it the lap 80 or something, and knowing that he'll have 10 laps to take chunks of time out of Kinsella. Because let's see, for the first round of pit stops, Walsh was about 4 seconds back of Kinsella when he came in, and about 4 seconds, 4 seconds ahead of Kinsella once it was all said and done.
Right.
And their pit stops were 12 laps apart. So just making their pit stops at 12 laps apart, Walsh was able to make up 8 seconds there.
Yeah, I think those numbers work, Sam. 70 laps to go for our leader, Andrew Kinsella, working on his 18th lap on this fuel and tires. He's led most of this race. Had a bit of a battle off the start. Dave Walsh was able to get ahead of him with the pit strategy we've been talking about. But Kinsella still reigns supreme right now.
One thing Walsh is going to have to start worrying about, Sean, is Dennis Garrison was one of the last drivers to pit for fresher tyres too, and Garrison is coming. Not very fast, only a couple of tenths, but actually Walsh just had a bit of a slide exiting turn 2. Slowly but surely, he's reeling him in. We're going to find out in the next 2 laps, I would say, if Walsh is going to 3-stop this or 2-stop this. I have a feeling if he's going to 2-stop this, he'll run the lap 80. But if he comes in this lap or the next time around, I have a feeling he's going to try a 3-stopper. I'm not sure it's going to work, but it doesn't look like you're going to beat Kinsella purely on pace today.
Let's ride around with him for a lap here. Just watch the hands. Watch the hands and how much he's having to work here at times, because those tires are really starting to fall off on him. Especially coming out of turn 2 right here.
Yeah, this is where he had the big slide last lap, a lot more control this time around. What's he going to do? This is 34 laps on this tyres. No, he's still running up high. It looks like Walsh is going to play. Everyone's going to play the 2-stop strategy. Walsh is just going to be making his pit stops about 10 to 12 laps before Kinsella. The problem now, Sean, is that he's already 8 seconds back of Kinsella for all intents and purposes. So I think even with that undercut, he's not going to be able to jump Kinsella on this final round of stops.
I think it's going to be really tough, Sam. I think it's going to be really, really tough. Yep. I'm wondering if Garrison's the real wild card here to not.
I agree.
To not maybe do a little something here to at least take down Walsh. I don't know if he's got enough for Kinsella, but Michael Herman coming back down the pit road, taking his second stop. Does it with 31 laps on the car.
Yeah, Michael Herman. I mean, he's been having a decent race, but comparatively, compared to the other 6 cars currently still running out there, he doesn't have a pace of them, and it's lap 67 for him right now. He might be opting the 3-stop this race just to keep his car pointing in the right direction, say, hey, I'm going to have a smoother ride, stay out of a lead lap traffic, be less of a hazard if I come in and pit every 30 laps, make sure I keep my car under me and get to the finish line.
Well, Herman's going to make his way out clean. Everybody getting around on the top side there, does a good job, blending back. You see Walsh, our second place car, gets by there.
Yeah, this is a worse place for Michael Herman. And Dan Garrison coming in. So this is interesting. Garrison was one of those drivers who tried to run it long for the first round of stops. But the second round of stops, he's coming in early. And I'm not sure. I've got to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how far these cars go on fuel. That's a long final stint if he plans on going to the end.
I think we saw what Long was and what Kinsella did, Sam, to be honest with you. I don't know how much more he would have had in that car.
And Garrison just merged straight back up onto the banking on turn 1. I'm assuming that means the league allows that if there's no oncoming traffic.
Well, he's got Joshua Herman behind him. And Herman, of course, right now is in 3rd place. Garrison, after that stop, slipped back to 6th. So this would be to take him a lap down. Walsh continues to lose time to Kinsella, Sam. It's alarming right now, the difference in the times. Still, it's over 13 seconds now, the gap.
Yeah, Walsh definitely tried to make a... he realized that by the time the first round of stops approached, he didn't have anything for Kinsella on pace, I think. So he's been trying to play the strategy card, and now I think you're trying to play a game of chess when you're down the queen.
Good analogy, Sam. Good analogy, buddy.
Joshua Herman making his scheduled stop right on lap 75, 60 laps to the end.
Sam, I said this one would be quick if we didn't have any green flags. This starting, a little bit of a slip up there from Josh Sherman getting to the pits. We could be finishing a race at Texas Motor Speedway in record time here today.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to see what the average speed will be on this thing if we go green all the way to the end.
Well, congratulations to the drivers who have hung in and who are here today. They've given us some pretty hot racing.
Daniel Garrison hard in the wall exit in turn 2, smashes onto the inside wall, spinning on the back low, and that will bring the yellow out. He had pitted not too long ago. He had such a run on the car on older tires, and he was just trying to get too much out of it.
Sam, he got into the dirty air of Dave Walsh. He was closing on Dave Walsh. He was closing quick. Watch what happens here. Watch it from the cockpit. He's getting a run at Walsh. And right here on exit, that's that push out of 2. Man. And just nails that inside retaining wall. And that is a familiar wreck at Texas Motor Speedway right there. If you've ever watched a race, you've seen cars do that, many cars, and never any fun. And that's going to end Dennis Garrison's race. I can't imagine he'll be back from repair for that, Sam.
Yeah, I just thought that was a very avoidable wreck, to be honest with you. I think he must have seen that car closing in. He must have known that dirty air was going to be there. He's just trying to get all the time he could, but at what cost?
Really,
all right, see the leaders coming in. The cars off of a lead lap stay out.
Yep, so here come Kinsella, Walsh, and Bennett. Oh, those strategies now out the window, Sam, with that yellow flag.
Yeah, the drivers who are off lead lap are going to stay out, or they should try and stay out to get that lap back. Now, obviously, what's key here is not only are these 3 drivers all going to be on fresher tyres, but maybe we're about to see what Henry Bennett has as well, because I wouldn't be surprised if he's... okay, he's already rolling. I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he'd stayed in his pit stall a bit longer to try and get some repairs on that 007 machine after he tacked the wall early on in the race.
I say right now the caution flag benefits Bennett more than anybody, Sam. He's going to get a second chance to see what he's got left in the car. I'll be honest with you, physically looking at the car, I don't see anything wrong with it. I expect him to be a contender here on this restart. We'll see how quickly he can get it cranked up. But, folks, I'll tell you what. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back in just a moment to get this race restarted. Welcome back on the Global SimRacing Channel here with the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League from Texas Motor Speedway today. 133 laps, folks, 50 to go when the green flag flies again. Andrew Kinsella restarting this race from the point. Dave Walsh in second. Henry Bennett back to a podium spot out of the thick of the field and now with a chance to redeem himself possibly. Here comes the pace car out of 4, slowly making its way down the pit lane, and there it goes. Now it's up to Andrew Kinsella, and he jumps on it. Kinsella with a bad fast start there. He gets already across the line, dropping Walsh half a second just on the restart. And the question is, how did Bennett get restarted? And folks, not as well as he should have, to be honest with you. He needed a better start than that. He's got any hope to go up and catch these guys. But Sam, I know we've suspected for some time that he might have some damage, physical damage. We don't see it. There could be mechanical damage to the car that he is fighting. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him afterwards. But here we go. Walsh fighting Kinsella for the lead early. This is what we saw in the early part of this race. Kinsella going to let him go. Here comes Bennett, Sam.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with Bennett's car there, Sean. I just don't think he got a great restart. I was trying to turn some laps in spectator mode there under the yellow, see how far these cars could get under you know, on the fuel tank. Unfortunately, the Pocono setup doesn't work here well at Texas, so I couldn't actually get a good reading. But as we watch Walsh leading Kinsella and Bennett around, I've got to imagine all of them are good on fuel to get to the end, because otherwise, why wouldn't have we seen any of them popping off on the last lap of course in there when you only have 2 positions you could potentially give up on the lead lap? So, yeah. The other thing I'm a little surprised by, I was almost wondering if Walsh or Bennett would try and back off on the short run here, maybe try and save their equipment on the long run, beat Kinsella that way. However, Walsh in the lead right now, and he's got to try and hold on to this lead as long as possible, because even if Kinsella's a bit fast in the long run, the longer he can stay out front, the harder it'll be for Kinsella to pass him. But here he comes.
Boy, Kinsella didn't waste any time. He saw that door open. He said, you know what, I'm going to take it. Put my foot in there and keep going.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Bennett could be struggling with a little bit of damage back there, or he could just have a bit of a slower car. Or he could be thinking about just trying to save his equipment for the long run. Let these two scrap it out for now.
Yeah, Bennett is not in any danger here. He's still got him in a comfortable gap. Can do plenty with that. Kinsella and Walsh are battling pretty hard right now. Still a lot of time left in this race. Just can't let him get too far away. You don't want to lose that draft altogether. You do, then you start backing up to Joshua Herman and Fabian Lundbluth, and you get involved with that and them trying to recover, then things may not end up well.
Yeah, well, as Walsh got quite close to the wall there, that's not the first time we've seen him do that today. Joshua Herman and Fabian Lundbluth are both 1 lap down there in 4th and 5th place. Now, they're really off the pace right now, because to get the wave around, they had to stay out on old tyres. But they could be battling later on. Michael Herman is 3 laps down. He's just riding around there in 6th place. Granted, going to be a good point today here, even if you finish last. The field started off small, and we've seen some attrition. So the fact is, he could still come out with a top 5 here if something happens to one of the cars ahead of him.
Yeah, you know, Sam, you get into the early summer months and things get tough for people in their schedules. Of course, people getting out of school, going on vacation, moving out of dorms, what have you. Attendance a little bit down today, but hopefully by the time we get to these last 3 rounds here, 10 and 11 and 10, 11 and 12, the numbers will be back up, and we'll see more of that great close side-by-side racing we've seen so far here in this inaugural season of the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League.
Yeah, I think this is a bit of bad news for Walsh and Bennett here, because Kinsella is trekking out, and now that he's got a lead of over a second already this shortly into a run, even if fuel was a concern for him in the long run, or taking his tyres was a concern for him, he has the option to play with the buttons on his steering wheel, scale it back and save a little bit. Remember, we saw him do 45 laps earlier without much difficulty, and this is a 50-lap shootout here to the checkered flag.
Yeah, initially I thought maybe that fuel window was somewhere from about 35 to 40. Now, Sam, I'm thinking it's more like in the area of 45 to 50, actually.
Yeah, again, that could just be these drivers. Since there's not a whole lot of, others for them to worry about, if they are able to get a gap over the driver they're battling for position, then that allows them to play a bit more with the fuel mixture and extend the life of that gasoline in their machine. Yeah, I was about to say it's not 100% gasoline, but well, I didn't want to use the same word fuel twice. Can I get away with saying petrol?
Yes.
Although even then, that's gasoline, isn't it? So yeah. Okay.
I like to think petrol is a more blanket term, to be honest with you. But what do I know? I'm just a commentator. They do use a 90% mix of ethanol and methanol. 90% methanol, 10%. I'm sorry, 90% ethanol, 10% methanol, Sam. To be specific. There you go. Just trying to bring the race fans here the most accurate information possible, Sam.
So once again, it looks like Kinsella has control of this race, but the battle for second might not be decided. Burnett is less than a second back of Walsh, and we've seen Walsh sliding around at the end of runs today. I don't think he's been going as long as he could have been on these sets of tyres for that reason. And I wonder if now that Burnett's had the chance to regroup to repair his equipment, if there were any repairs that needed doing, if he's going to be able to capitalize on Walsh's ill-handling car in the long run.
Walsh is indeed struggling, Sam. I've been watching him specifically here over the last 4 or 5 laps, and boy, he is really having trouble on exits here. Out of 2 and out of 4, the car is very, very unstable right now, and I don't know if it's because he's making too many adjustments on the fly or if he's just lost it altogether. But Walsh is definitely struggling, and Bennett is, well, as they say, he is on the go.
Our director bringing up a good point here that all these cars are simulation cars, so technically they're all electric powered. So that means every car I race with on iRacing is nuclear powered. That's got to be a first over here in IndyCar.
And by the way, has anyone noticed that Dave Walsh is driving a Skoda? That he's got Skoda on the side. Sam, enlighten us on what a Skoda is. I know, but I know you know.
Manufacturer of car. I found this out when I was on vacation in England for the first time. We just got to Heathrow Airport, got off a plane, and I said to my godfather, actually, I said to Uncle Stuart, I said, all right, so what car are we looking for? He said the Skoda. And I was thinking to myself, boy, it's got to be hard to load our suitcases on the scooter and get around London.
But in the pantheon of automakers, Skoda is not what you consider a top 5, would you?
That would be a negative.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. That Skoda's been good enough to hang on to a podium spot all day. Wasn't aware they were in IndyCar, but that's hats off to him there for running Skoda. Bennett now not closing as well as he once was. He slipped back to just under a second.
Yeah, June Bluth into the pits here. Let's not forget that these drivers who were off of a lead lap stayed out under the last caution, and they wouldn't have had enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. June Bluth coming in, getting those fresh tyres now, and he's battled for 4th place with Joshua Herman. So I think Joshua might want to respond to this.
Yeah, well, Joshua certainly can't run it out. Why not come in now and be just as fast? Hopefully Josh has got someone talking to or making a call for him, but Sam, you're absolutely right. Now would be the time to come in for Herman.
Unless he's thinking, okay, yeah, sure, maybe if I came in 10 laps' time, I might lose the battle to Fabian if cautions don't fall my way. But what's that going to cost me? 1 position? Right now, he's only a lap down. If another caution flew right now, and Kinsella, Walsh, and Burnett all came into the pit so that they can give each other a good race for the last 30 laps for the win, Joshua would probably stay out again and try and get back on the lead lap and then hope for a quick caution, you know, soon after that one.
Yeah, Sam, I don't know, man. One caution today might have been one too many. I don't give another one coming out really, really good odds at this point with only 25 laps to go here. When Andrew Kinsella gets to the line, he's coming out of turn 4 now. There's Michael Herman coming down. Andrew Kinsella out of 4. Going to come across the stripe. 25 laps to go, Sam.
Yeah, that's Michael Herman. He did pit under the last caution. He's already running 3 laps down, just trying to keep the tires fresh on his car so he can get to the end of his race. I doubt we'll see him back in the pits any more times today. Talking about the possibilities for another caution, unfortunately, I still want to keep half an eye on Dave Walsh here in the closing lap, Sean, just because of the sliding around we saw him doing earlier in the long run, and the fact he does have more pressure. And Joshua Herman is coming in.
All right. Let's see how quickly he can get in and out of those pits. Long, slow trip down pit road there for him.
And he almost stopped short in his pit stall now. It doesn't cost you as much time as overshooting it. That's certainly not what you want to do. Splash of fuel, only about 20 laps left to go, and he's merging up on the bank and in turn 1, which the drivers have been getting away with so far today. And even despite staying out there on the older tyres, it looks like he's going to be able to stay ahead of Jungbluth.
Okay, leave it. I'll create a little bit of controversy. Does he stay ahead of Jungbluth if he merges on the backstretch like one would normally think you're supposed to do? I don't know. Just a thought, Sam.
Yeah, but he's not the first driver to merge straight out onto the bank and on turn 1 today. And if they didn't penalise the driver earlier, it would be, inconsistent for them to penalise him now.
Couldn't agree with you more. And that may just be an oversight on our behalf as far as the rules of the league. It's just safe exit, safe entry, and it's have at it, guys. So if that's the case, that's great because it hasn't been a problem here today.
Burnett still running the second back of Walsh. 20 laps left to go as they cross the line.
It's time to boogie, baby. Let's go.
Kinsella says, I'm doing it, Sean. I'm going as fast as I can. What do you want more from me?
I want him to pass Michael Herman. So Herman, not really. I'm looking at the track right now, and he does have Herman in front of him. I have a feeling he may catch him, maybe not. Herman's got those fresher tires on there now. Walsh not closing on Kinsella at all, though. And Walsh's biggest problem right now is in his rear mirror, Henry Bennett, and whether or not he's going to be able to keep him away. Bennett starting to kind of edge back forward here just a bit, a little bit faster on that last lap. Or no, I'm sorry, it was the lap before that he was a little bit faster, and then that lap, Walsh takes a little chip out of it there.
Yeah, you're talking hundredths of a second at that point. I mean, it's really going to take Walsh's tyres falling off a cliff to yield Burnett that second position. I'm just not counting that out with 17 laps left to go here from what I've seen Walsh do throughout the race. But, of course, even with a small number of cars out here today, the track surface, the racing line, would have changed a little bit from the start of a race. That could be helping or hurting Walsh. He's still using that high line, trying to arc a car off of a turn.
Well, They've got about 5 minutes left here under green flag, Sam, to decide the victor, and it looks like it belongs to Kinsella right now. But he still has to complete those laps. Same thing with Dave Walsh. Henry Bennett with a sliver of hope here. I gotta imagine we can get it on board with Bennett. Wonder what he's doing with the gears right now. So great that iRacing finally lets us see that information.
I'm sure there's some drivers who don't appreciate it as much. Oh, now everyone knows I'm using third gear.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like he's close enough to want to utilize that sixth gear and try and get a run at him with a pass.
I think even with the age on your tyres right now, sixth gear wouldn't do you a whole lot of good anyway. Bennett has been faster than Walsh the last couple of laps around, though. He's brought that gap down from 1.2 to 0.9 of a second. I still think that could just be Walsh taking it easy, catching his one thing, passing his another.
Well, I'd liked Kinsella and Bennett going into this race. Thought it would be down to these two, but really here in the end, it's been about Kinsella and Dave Walsh. Bennett, not much of a factor in the race here until that caution flag brought him back into the battle.
Walsh is doing a good job of just hitting his marks, trying to keep his equipment as good as he can for as long as he can.
Well, Kinsella finds himself on the back stretch now, heading into turn 3. Full head of steam. Off of 4. And it's going to be 10 laps to go here at Texas Motor Speedway in the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League. 133 laps today, and wow, it seems like it's been about a 30-lap race, Sam.
Yeah, and it's going to be easy to calculate the average speed from this race because it's going to be about an hour long, and we knew at the start that it was a 200-mile race. So if it ends within an hour, the cars were averaging over 200 miles an hour throughout the race.
And listen, I don't care if you're on a computer or if you're in an actual cockpit of a race car. Requires a tremendous amount of focus and attention to what you're doing and patience. You know, I mean, it's you do this for an hour. At some point, you got to show a little bit of patience so you don't end it early.
Yeah, Joshua Herman is running in 4th place. He's caught Henry Bennett in 3rd place. However, there's 2 laps in between them. Herman is going by on newer tyres. The significant thing here is if Walsh gets held up more when Herman comes to unlap himself from him. Walsh currently has 1.5 seconds over Bennett. Bennett just lost a bit of time letting Herman by. But now, this could upset Walsh's car when Herman goes by. This is like the one obstacle he has to avoid to try and bring home a 2nd place finish here. And sometimes just one obstacle, isn't good news in an IndyCar when it comes to dirty air. Just ask J.R. Hildebrand.
Indeed. Bringing up some past pain there. Oh, and Herman a little bit too far down on that apron. Oof. That was a scary moment there in the closing laps of the race. 6 laps to go. And Sam, this is going to be a bit of a problem here for Walsh. With Herman coming through here, this could be tricky.
Yeah, and Joshua Herman can't exactly hand back because Fabian Jungbluth will be running him down otherwise for that 4th place. And all Walsh needs to do really is just yield the position here. He's been able to grow that gap to almost 2 seconds ahead of Henry Bennett. Oh, yeah, that's really not anything Walsh needs to be risking.
He was so close to the wall coming down the front stretch. Walsh was, and finally Herman gets by, and that's all good. Go ahead, Josh. Have fun. Dave Walsh he'll send you a card from the podium.
Podium coming up in just 3 laps from now. Kinsella coming around to complete lap 130 of 133. And he's going to do that, I think, with in about 59 minutes and 20 seconds or so. So, yeah, we will average over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, and Dennis Garrison, just with a little bit of hard luck, brings out that only caution flag today, and that caution ended his race.
Yeah, not the only incident we saw throughout the race. It was the only one that brought out the yellow, though, for pretty hard knock into the inside wall. Just 1.5 more laps around for Andrew Kinsella within the last 3 miles now. 2 miles and counting down. They go by quickly at these speeds.
Here comes Kinsella. Across the stripe, 1 lap to go. The white flag is out. One more trip around TMS. Up here in beautiful Denton County, Fort Worth, Texas. Into 3. Car is stable. Andrew Kinsella going to roll across, your winner today from Texas Motor Speedway to the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League. Congratulations, Andrew Kinsella. Great run. Dave Walsh is going to hang on to second. And Henry Bennett just couldn't climb the ladder far enough. I expect when we talk to him in the end, we might find out he was fighting a little bit of handling on that car after that early trouble. But boy, what a finish. All right, Sam, we are going to head out real quick and take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll be back in just a moment with the complete results here in the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League from Texas. Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway with the Absolute Beginners IndyCar League. 133 laps in the books, and Andrew Kinsella was the winner. Let's run down the finish here. Dave Walsh struggled to the finish, but not enough to let Henry Bennett get past him, and Bennett's going to finish third. The early side pod damage seems like it was too much for Bennett to overcome. Joshua Herman going to be the first car lap down, a couple laps down there. He'll finish 4th. Fabian Youngbluth also a couple laps down, 5th. 6th going to go to Michael Herman. 7th, Dennis Garrison was out of this long ago, unfortunately. A bad wreck, and the only caution flag we saw today. Ali Boca out again early, 8th for him. Timu Ronco, a tough day for Timu. He was out very early. Jose Crescente never got out of the pit, Sam, and the 11th car that we'll see on this these results here, Michael Rugenbrake, he never got started either. So a tough day here at the track for some, but a very excited winner. I'm sure we're going to talk to Andrew Kinsella. He's made it for an interview. Andrew, great race today, buddy. Talk to us a little bit about it. Obviously the clean air is king, but what was the key to your strategy today?
I think the key to my strategy was really some last minute changes that I made after practice, because I was very worried that I was not going to be able to survive this race. My car was very, very loose, and I threw the kitchen sink at it as time expired in practice. And somehow I got the balance right, and I was able to last. My tires were able to last better than anyone else's out there, so I was just able to make that I was going to have a 2-stop strategy anyways, but I was able to make the 2-stop strategy work and have the tires there for the long run.
Andrew, did you scare everybody off? Where was everybody today, man?
I don't know, man. I guess they heard that I was coming and they didn't want to face me, I guess. I don't know. I would have loved to have seen more people out here, but I mean, that track at that track temperature was tough enough to run. So even though I didn't have cars around me, I feel like I was fighting the whole day just because of the track temp, and the tires were just gone by 10 laps into the stint.
Okay, and that was my next question for you. How bad were they falling off? So we know it about lap 10. When did they actually fall off the cliff?
Fortunately for me, so they probably fell off a small cliff right around laps 7 to 10, and then I was able to use the in-car tools to sort of keep the car about at that half a second to 3/4 of a second slower for the rest of the run, and it was just sort of a gradual fall off from there. So I think that's where I just found the right balance on the set. But man, those were tough conditions. I was fighting the entire time to go as fast as I could, because I knew that one caution could change everything, and it almost did there.
Well, listen, since we don't really have anybody else waiting for an interview, let me take a chance here to ask you a couple more questions. You talk about the in-car adjustments. We talked about that during the race. What are the key? You don't have to give away all your secrets, but when we talk about making adjustments, especially in this car, what are the ones drivers generally look to as far as making adjustments?
It depends what your car is doing and how your setup starts off, to be honest. I find with the IR-18, I use the weight jacker a lot more than I did with the DW12. The DW12, I use the front and rear ARBs a lot more. But this car tends to respond better to the weight jacker, especially on the ovals. So I tend to use that one. So for instance, at the beginning of the run, I was quickly adjusting my weight jacker down to about -7, -8, and then slowly building it back up. So basically what it did is it tightened the car up right at the beginning of the run. And then slowly I was able to loosen the car up as the front tires sort of went off a little bit through the run. I was able to loosen it up, and that's how I sort of kept the speed up through the run. The weight jacker, it really affects your grip off the corner. The anti-roll bars affects your grip through the whole corner. So if you're sort of pushing through the entire corner, what you want to do is you want to soften up your front ARB or stiffen up your rear ARB, depending on how your car feels. But again, I find that with this car, you can get the mid corner really nice, but it's that corner exit where it gets really sketchy. So the weight jacker, I find, really helps me make the car do what I want it to do throughout the course of the run.
Andrew, thank you for answering that question. Listen, hey, we aim to inform here at the Global Sim Racing Channel, and I know there are people watching now who, quite honestly, haven't figured this car out yet, maybe needed a tip or two, and I think you just covered that. So good stuff, man, good stuff. Now, we head back to the road in a couple weeks, and when we go to Mid-Ohio, you're looking forward to getting back on a road circuit again.
Absolutely. This car is so much fun on the road courses. So I'm definitely looking forward to Mid-Ohio. It's a beautiful track, really challenging, but at the same time, a lot of fun to drive. So definitely looking forward to it. I probably won't be on the top step of the podium, but top 5 in this league with the road racers that we have, I'll definitely take it if I can make that happen.
Andrew, thank you so much. Pleasure watching you today. Pleasure talking to you here at the end of the race. We'll see you in a couple weeks at Mid-Ohio, buddy.
See you later, Sean.
All right, folks, that is Andrew Kinsella, your big race winner today. And hey, out there to lend you all a little bit of help. And I didn't even talk about his success at Indy. So guys, very in tune with this car. Sam, thanks again for being with us today, man. Really fun to have you on the broadcast, buddy.
Yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting race. Like we say, a little short on the car count there, and Kinsella taking a dominating victory. But it was interesting to see how the strategy would pan out, given the fact that we didn't anticipate a caution, and we got one right slam dab in the middle of it all. Kinsella still did a nice job to hold on to the victory there.
Well, the Absolute Beginners League, we want to thank them for organizing the Indy series here and contracting with GSRC to broadcast. We also want to thank the companies, equipment, and software that you'll see on your screen here in just a moment. We use this on every broadcast we do, and boy, we just can't get these things done without them. So remember also that the original music that gives every GSRC broadcast that unique flavor and feel is thanks to the great Eric at home and the equally as great Casey Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them, Sam.
Yeah, the ABIL returns in 2 weeks' time on June 16th from the beautiful Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. GSRC will once again be there to bring you all of the action, and we hope you join us. Sliding across your screen now are some upcoming broadcasts, so be sure to check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it all at globalsimracingchannel.com. And find the time to subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel.
All right, and finally, on behalf of the man whose voice you just heard, Samuel Ryman, our director, Amjad Yaman, and our camera artist, Dougie Beard, I'd like to thank all of you for watching today. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle for old buddy Soup. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.